Shalom, people. This is Brother Lyles coming at you with another video, and we want to continue on with our lesson that we um, started several weeks ago, where we were talking about uh, these four things coming out of Proverbs, the 30th chapter, verses 29 through 31. Where we were talking about four things that were comely to the writer of Proverbs, the 30th chapter, of which we talked about two so far. We talked about the lion, which is strongest among beasts, and turneth not away from any. And we talked about a greyhound. So today we want to talk about the he-goat and a king against whom there is no rising up, coming out of verse 31. A he-goat and a king against whom there is no rising up. So the first one we're going to talk about, and we're going to look at some of the characteristics of this creature and see what about it is something that we as believers in Yeshua, uh, what can we draw out of this for ourselves to get ourselves to the place where we are being effective witnesses, because apparently the writer of Proverbs, he said to uh, there be things which go well. And when he's saying that, he means when you watch these four things or four beings in action, is something that you should emulate yourself. So the he-goat is that he is talking about is the male Nubian ibex goat. The male Nubian ibex goat, he can be found in Israel, Ethiopia, Eritrea, and several other countries in the Middle East also. What about this creature is so extraordinary? Just like we talked about the greyhound, the characteristics, this creature has some extraordinary things about it that I think when we kind of look at how can we translate these into attributes that we as believers in Yeshua should have, I think you'll see that it's a good analogy, a parody here. One of the things that is extraordinary about the male Nubian ibex goat is that it lives on rocky desert mountains, sometimes as high as 14,800 feet. It lives amongst the clouds, basically. It loves the heights. It doesn't like to live down below. It likes to live in the heights. So what does that mean for us as believers when we look at that characteristic of the Nubian ibex goat, the male Nubian ibex goat? Is that if you look at Hebrews, rather not Hebrews, but Ephesians, the second chapter, verse 6, this is what it says. He said, actually, let's go to, actually, let's go to verse 5. He said, even when we were dead in sins, has quickened us together with Mashiach, or Christ. By grace are ye saved, and has raised us up together and made us sit in heavenly places in uh, Christ Jesus, um, Mashiach, Yeshua, talking about salvation, that once we as believers, as sinners, are saved, whether Hebrew or Gentile, because the same salvation is available to all through faith, right? He says that now, once we are born again, that we are supposed to be living in heavenly places in Yeshua. We're supposed to dwell on high when it talks about the kind of life that we are live, or at least we are trying to achieve that life in the sense of not waiting till we get to heaven to live like we are in heaven right now here on earth. So our mindset, not our bodies, but our mindset is just supposed to be on heavenly things. We are supposed to set our affections, the Bible said, above. Just like this ibex goat, it spends most of its time in the heights, in the clouds. It doesn't come down. It does have predators, but a few of them that can be up there in the heights with them. But they dwell in the heights. And so we as believers, we are to stir up our pure mind. We are to put our affections on things above and not below. I like this, what Hebrews, the 12th chapter, verse 24 says. It said, but ye are come unto Mount Zion, and unto the city of the living Elohim, the heavenly Jerusalem, to an innumerable company of angels, to the general assembly and general assembly and church of the firstborn, which are written in heaven, and to Yah, the judge of all, and to the spirits of just men made perfect, right? And so he's saying, okay, just like in the earthly first of earthly encounter, that and you know the book of Hebrews was written to the Hebrews to prepare them for the time that the temple was going to be destroyed and it was going to be scattered to all the nations. This scripture was trying to bring them back into mind about when Moses was wandering, and the children had came up to the mountain to receive the law from Yah, from the Father, right? And how they were in fellowship with Yah, right? Now he's saying, okay, now with Yeshua, we are taken up to a higher state. Because remember, when they were on the mount, Moses called the 72 elders, and they sat down in the mount with the Father and had dinner, right? Except two of those 72 were still in the camp when Yah came down and he parted the spirit that was on Moses amongst those 70. But even those 72 that were in the camp, the part of the spirit fell on them too, and they've prophesied. But he said, when it comes to salvation, now the thing that Yah had did with those 72 elders, now all that come unto Yeshua, the same thing comes unto you when you're born again. Yah's spirit comes to dwell in you. The spirit of Yah comes to dwell in you, right? And so that you don't have to uh, uh, come to a literal mountain and do all these different things. You're the spirit that's on high is also here with you down here on this earth. Therefore, he's saying here in spiritual sense, you are in the Mount Zion up in heaven in the sense of your the spirit that's up there, in which Holy Spirit is everywhere, right? But he's also in us, is with us down here on this earth, and therefore we can have that instant communication because the spirit that's in us is in communication with the Father. Therefore, it's almost like we're up there in the Mount Zion, that we're up there in the General Assembly, that we're up there in heaven with Yah, the judge of all, and the spirits of just men that have been made perfect, those that are in under the altar right now in heaven, that we are in a spiritual sense, we are there. And also he said into Yeshua, the mediator of the new covenant, verse 2, into the blood of sprinkling that speak of better things than that of Abel. But see that ye refuse not him that speaketh, before they escape not who refuses him that spake on her. How much more shall we escape if we turn away from him that speaketh from heaven? Right? So again, right, he's saying, when just like that that ibex goat spends a lot of all of his time up in the heavenlies, in is not the heavenlies but in the mountains. So we should be in high places with Yeshua in the spirit, right? In the spirit. Not saying that we have to do like the monastic monks and all them that moved up into these giant monasteries up in the mountains and try to commune with Yah and lock themselves in a room and wouldn't speak for years at a time, or vows of celibacy and all this other kind of stuff, trying to go up, like I said, up into high mountains. But he's saying our mindset, right? Our mindset is supposed to be above. Not that we don't have no we're not in touch with the people that lives on this plane with us, but our mindset, right? I'm not to be, as some people would say, so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, but you have the mind of heaven in your mind so that you can help people that's down here on earth. We are an extension of heaven down here, right? But our mind should be constantly on what is Yah in heaven, thinking about the things that I'm doing, right? If we carry that earthly mindset, right, before we do certain things, we'll understand that if we are in dwelling in heavenly places, our spirit is, right, in contact with that, then we would think twice, because we would say, hey man, if my spirit is supposed to be seated in heavenly places in Christ Jesus, then that means if I'm getting ready to do something evil, isn't he seeing what I'm doing? Isn't he hearing what I'm saying, or my intent of my heart? Because the Bible said nothing is hidden from him. So that our conduct will be much better than what it is, not because of our willpower, but also our understanding. Because the Bible said, reckon yourself likewise, like when it talks about us knowing that we are dead to the sin, that we reckon, that we remember, oh man, no, I'm now not I'm not a citizen of this earth. My body is a citizen of this earth, but my spirit is now subject to Yah. I'm a I'm a I'm a heavenly citizen in an earthly body, right? So that, just like that uh, goat, it is dwelling most of its time up in the, it doesn't really know what it is to be down in the lower regions. Not saying that it doesn't, probably sometimes comes, but it's used to dwelling up there. So that's what we have to, we had to lift up our mindset out of the places, even where we might dwell right here on earth might be a bad situation. we can lift our mind to a heavenly mindset, right? Just like the goat. And one thing about dwelling in the mountains, they also say it causes you to be in better shape because it's something about the mountain air, right? That's why uh, uh, tuberculosis patients and other people with different kinds of ailments, they'll sometimes tell them to move to the mountain because mountain air does something to your body. And even the U.S. Olympic team, when they go train out in Colorado Springs, Colorado, because uh, living and training at the height causes them to be stronger, right? It causes them to be stronger. It's something about the purity of the air, the lessen effects of gravity, also all kinds of different things, so that when you do come back down to sea level, you can know a remarkable increase in your physical abilities, because training in the mountain air does something. It does something not just to the body but also to the mind, right? Notice also about living up in the mountains, right? Yah, the Bible says that Yah dwells in the mountains again, because now we understand when we are born again, we have a heavenly mindset because that's where Yah dwells. There's many, many, many scriptures in the in throughout the Old and New Testament that talks about Yah's dwelling place being in the mountains. What did you notice about Yeshua when he was on earth, whenever he wanted to go pray? What did it say? That's in fact, let's go there. Let's go to Matthew, um, Matthew 5:1. And it's many, many scriptures I could go to, but I'm just gonna uh, go over a few. Matthew 5:1 says this, and seeing the multitudes, he, talking about Yeshua, went into a mountain, and when he was set, his disciples came unto him, right? And this is where Yeshua uh, 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 taught the what we call the Beatitudes, right? He taught it in the what? In the mountains, right? Okay, then let's go to Matthew 8:1. And it said, and when he came down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. Let's go to Matthew 14:23. It says, and when he had seen the multitudes, sent the multitudes away, he went up into a mountain apart to pray. And when the evening would come, he was there alone. You see that over and over again. Let's go to Matthew 15:29. All right, it says, and Yeshua departed from thence and came unto the Sea of Galilee and went up into a mountain and sat there, right? Let's go to Matthew 17:1. It said, and after 6 days, Yeshua take Peter, James, and John, his brother, and bringeth them unto what? A high mountain apart. He was always in the mountains because what? Because that was supposed to be like a sign, not just being in the mountains is good, but also he understood, you got to set a precedence that we got to be in high places. We got to be in high places. If you really look at the ministry of Yeshua, he spent very little time in the a lot of the cities and a lot of the places. He went off, a lot of times into the Judean desert, mountains, or whatever. Since our captivity and our scattering, it seems like a lot of us have been sent to the cities. And if you know anything about when after the flood, Yah had told the descendants of Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the descendants of Noah, he says, spread out across the earth and repopulate it. Spread out. You got plenty of space. And remember, at that time, the continents were still one big continent. The continental drift hadn't started yet. That's why you can see different pyramids on different kinds of pyramids on all of the continents, because what had happened, right? they didn't obey Yah. They kind of hanged around the plains of Shinar, and then they started building what cities. They built the cities, and Nimrod built these different cities, right? And they built Babel, and they built the tower to what? Rebel against Yah. So Yah's thing was he never wanted us to collect in one place. He wanted us to spread out. You know, he wanted us to spread out. But what did they do? They built their own mountain because they, you know, to which was the tower, which was what the tower was supposed to represent, a sign of we're gonna build our own tower that we're gonna use to get up into heaven, and we're gonna defeat Yah so that he won't be able to destroy mankind again for rebelling against him. And what did Yah do? He came down and confounded their language. He caused them to drift apart because of the difference of languages that he caused, the confusion of languages, and the tower ceased. But when man went out from to the different continents, he built those pyramids, which represent the tower, to represent that one day again, we are going to one day rebel and challenge Yah again, using what? Our own artificially made mountain. We want to go into the high places, but we don't want to go into the high places that Yah, or the way Yah wants us to. We want to go in and come. We want to go into the high places to pull Yah down, right? We don't want to be obedient. We want to be rebellious, like our father, the devil. And so Yah says those that come dwell in his mountain got to be his people, not those in rebellion. So the rebels have their own mountain, which they call these skyscrapers, and all these different things. Those are actually built as a sign of rebellion. They're saying, we don't need your mountains, Yah. We can build our own mountains, and our own mountains, we're lifting them up in the sky as a sign of rebellion, and as a sign that one day we're going to pull you down. And our father, Satan, is going to pull you down. And the Bible said, live on the sides of the north, right? Because Yah is above all. Satan wanted to have a throne right on the right above, right beside his, and thought that he was going to co-rule with him. But Yah said, no, you're not. So again, emulating of the male ibex goat when it comes to us dwelling in high places. That's one thing. Well, another thing that we recognize about the male ibex goat is that he has very large ears. He has very large ears, right? So those ears are for listening. What is something that we need to do always as Yah's people? We need to be quick to hear and slow to speak, right? We as Yah people, we have a problem hearing a lot of times, right? Nehemiah 8:3 says this. So they read in the book of the law of Yah distinctly, and gave the sense and caused them to understand the reading, right? We need to be like, and the reason the male the ibex goat has such big ears is so that it can hear from distances. It can hear it can hear when the predator or whatever might be trying to come up on it. So it has those big ears, right, to be able to hear its predators that might try to come up on it. So that also we need to be uh, uh, in tune our hearing, right, to hear what Yah is saying to us, to warn us, right, about the enemy trying to come in and take us. Job 33:14 says this. It says, For Yah speaketh once, yea, twice, yet man perceiveth not. Right? So he said, in a dream, in a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon man and slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of man and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw him from his purpose and hide pride from this man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit and his life from perishing by the sword. Right? So it's saying that, sometimes, right, when uh Yah opens our ears, he in still while we're after he has spoken, verse 14 said we don't perceive it. So what does Yah proceed to do? He said Yah proceeds to speak to us in our dreams, right? To give us, seal the instructions in us, and to hide, withdraw man from his purpose, meaning whatever it is that you're doing, Yah speak to you in a dream, and sometimes you'll be able to receive it, because he said he'll be able to keep your soul back from the pit, keep you from going down into death. Sometimes the dreams and stuff, because you will hear and you'll be like, oh, okay. Just like the wise men, after they had seen Yeshua, Yah in a dream warned them, the angel in the dream warned them not to go back to Herod, right? Because he was seeking the life of Yeshua. If they had listened in the dream, they would have went back and they would have been killed probably. And Yeshua, they would have made it get Yeshua, but be it they didn't. And also Joseph, the angel told him, hey, you got to get the Christ child out of here, right? So we just like that goat that got the big ears, we got to be to listen, to be a good listener. We must also listen, because it can pervade our life, especially in the times that we're living here. We have this Holy Spirit in us that speaks to our spirit and warns us, right? So Yah doesn't always have to use dreams. If we are born again, we have a spirit in us that speaketh to our spirit and tells us, right? That tells us even the deep things of Yah. Psalms 40 and 1 says, 41 said, to the chief musician, a psalm of David, I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of a horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. He has put a new song in my mouth, even praise to our God. Yah, many shall see it and fear, and shall trust. Blessed is the man that maketh the Lord his trust, and respecteth not the proud, nor such as turn aside as to lies. Many, O Lord, my God, are thy wondrous works. Are thy wondrous works which thou hast done, and thy thoughts which are to us word. They cannot be reckoned up in order unto thee. If I would declare and speak of them, they are more than can be numbered. Sacrifice and offering thou didst not desire. Mine ears hast thou opened. Burnt offering and sin offering hast thou not required. So here is the psalmist saying that Yah opened his ears. He opened up his ears, right? Because of his mercy. He opened up the ears of the psalmist, who was David, when David was when he was wandering through the wilderness, right? And he didn't have a chance to sacrifice in Jerusalem when he was on the run from Saul. But he said, you don't want that, right? He said, but he had opened his ears, what? To preserve David while he was in the hold running from Saul. He would, speak to him and tell him, hey, it's time to move on, or time to go here, go there, they would listen. They would say, I didn't have a sacrifice, but you were merciful unto me and graceful unto me and warned me and helped me because of your uh, uh, mercy and because of my faith in you. So, what's the next thing that we look at the male Adamite goat that is that we see that stands out to us is his horns. Their horns can the male Ibex goat can grow to be 5 feet long and are curved, and they use them to fight against predators, and also when they're mating, it attracts females, right? In the Bible, the horn represents strength. The horn represents a voice. You know, when you blow on a horn, a ram's horn. You know, um, and it's something else I forgot right now. It's not coming to me, but the horn represents several things, right? So we're gonna say the horn, like I said, of the male ibex goat is his strength, right? Um, let's go to um, 1 Samuel 2:1, and this is Hannah's prayer. And Hannah prayed and said, um, my heart rejoiceth in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies because I rejoiced in thy salvation. Talking about her strength, because remember, uh, she was not able to bear children at first, but she didn't have, basically her body didn't have strength in whatever kind of makeup she had in her side of herself, but Yah blessed her and gave her the strength to bear children, right? And not only did she have Samuel, but she also had several other children after Samuel was born, because he said, Yah has uh, exalted my horn or strengthened me, right? Um, then we look at verse 10 of the same chapter. He said, the adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Out of heaven shall he thunder upon them. The Lord shall judge the ends of the earth, and he shall give strength unto his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. This is basically, I guess we say, a prophecy of Hannah to see that Yah was going to exalt the horn of his anointed, which is Yeshua, going to be Yeshua. You know, he said he shall give strength unto his king, talking about Yeshua, to rule over the nations, because he is the horn of our salvation. He is our strength, right? Um, also, let's go to 2 Samuel 22:40. It says, for thou hast girded me with strength to battle. Them that rose up against me hast thou subdued under me, right? Strength, the horn. This is uh this is that David or Dawid talking about Yah giving him strength over his enemies, right? He's girding him, and he caused David to be a great warrior, and you know, David subdued a lot of people because Yah had exalted his horn above his fellows. That's why Yeshua is called the son of David, because it was with David that he showed this, right? And then finally we're gonna go to Romans 5:6 says, for when we were yet without strength, in due time, Mashiach or Christ died for the ungodly, right? And so he strengthened us. He strengthened us in in, in due time, right? In the appointed time. He gave us the strength to uh overcome sin and repent and become born again, right? Okay, so horn representing strength. Okay, what's the next thing about the ibex goat? Said he is very agile and he has concave horns that expand and contract with sharp edges, and they kind of act like suction cups when he jumps on these rocks. So it's almost impossible for them to fall. I've seen pictures of them climbing up. It seems like almost a sheer wall of rock, and they just climbing, and it's like they're so sure-footed, right? They can jump from a standstill 6 feet up. Remember, like I said, when you up in that kind of atmosphere, it strengthens you and gives you a little bit more physical abilities than a person is dwelling on at sea level where the air is thicker, the air is thinner in mountain areas, right? So they can jump 6 feet up without getting a running start. This has helped them to move from cliff to cliffs and jump amazing distances, right? They're sure, like I said, they're sure-footed because of the way Yah designed them, right? So what can we learn about that? That we have to we have we we have to have faith in Yah when we move, that He is guiding our footsteps, and that our salvation, our movement is a sure thing. We gotta know that He is guiding our footsteps, right? Let's go to let's see, Judges, the 4th chapter, and we're gonna go with verse 17. Now, the one thing that I forgot to say is a woman in the Bible. Her name is Jael, which we're getting ready to talk about her right here. Her name means ibex. That she's a female. She was given the name of a female ibex because first, I guess the tribe that she lived among, the Kenites, I think they lived in the same area where these ibex goats live. So apparently when she was born, her mother or father, whoever, named her after the female version of the ibex goat, probably because, those people back there were, black and brown like us or whatever. And also it must have been something about what they felt about her characteristics, because I said, remember the ibex goat are sure-footed. They their steps kind of like they're sure where when they move. They have to be sure when they making their steps because their life depends on it, right? So let's read this. uh Judges 4:17 said, howbeit Sisera fled on his feet to the tent of Jael. Jael means is a female ibex goat. Jael, the wife of Haber the Kenite. They were Hamitic people, but they well, actually, I think they were Hamitic and Shemitic because they had something to do with, I want to say, Abraham and some of the wives that he had that he sent away. So they had kind of and there was children that he had through these Semitic women, right? And so he had sent them away, but these are their descendants, right? So they have a relationship with the Almighty too, but in their own way. He said, "For there was peace between Jabin, the king of Hazor, and though the house of Habor the Canaanite. And Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, in to me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle, a cloth, a blanket, or whatever. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him drink and covered him. So this is Caesarea. This is when Barak and Deborah was fighting against the armies of Sisera, the Midianites, right? Um, uh, uh, I think they were. I want to say that they were Midianites. They were, um, yeah, Canaanites. They were Canaanites, right? Which are Hamitic people. And so anyway, he was laying down on the ground, covered in the tent, and the milk, milk makes you go to sleep. And Barak and Deborah had, pretty much decimated their armies, and so he was on the run, right? And so here he is, right, in the tent of Jael, and she had to know what was going on, and when she, I guess, decided in her mind that she was gonna fight for the people of Yah. So this is what happened. Going back to verse 20, he said again, he said, And I stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be when any man does come and inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man in here, that thou shalt say no? Then Jael, Haber's wife, took a nail of the tent, and took a hammer in her hand, and went softly unto him. Because remember, these ibex goats, they can move, they're sure-footed, right? And they so it's something about when, I guess, as she was creeping up on the guy after he fell asleep, she had a tent peg and a hammer, and it said, and she moved up softly on him, and said, and then smote the nail into his temple and fastened it into the ground, for he was fast asleep and was weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him, and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temple. So Yah subdued on that day Jabin, the king of Canaan, before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin, the king of Canaan, until they destroyed Jabin, the king of Canaan. So uh, here, sure-footed. There was no hesitation in Jael's step. She knew what she was going to do. She was going to take this guy out, even though he was an ally of her husband. She understood that the people of Yah were victorious that day, and that Yah had given the Sisera into their hands. So and Deborah had prophesied that was going to happen, that the victory was going to go to a woman, right? Because Barak didn't was hesitant. He was hesitant. He wasn't sure as Jael was. So this is where these goats are when they're moving on the mountain. They're sure there's no hesitation in what they're doing. They have no hesitation whatsoever. And so it should be for us when we move. We should be like, yeah, if we're moving in the spirit, we should be sure-footed. We should know that our steps are ordered by Yah. We should be the same way, right? In fact, let's go to Ephesians 6 and 15, right? Ephesians 6 and 15 says this. It says, And your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, right? And so it's something about us moving, something about our feet. The Bible said, How beautiful are the feet of those that bring the tidings of great of the gospel, right? and that we can know that when we going and we speaking good and doing good to people, that we can be sure that Yah is with us, right? Then we're gonna go to uh, Revelations 10:1, and it says, "And I saw another mighty angel come down from heaven, clothed with a cloud and a rainbow upon his head, and his face was as it were the sun, and his feet as pillars of fire." Right. And so talking about this mighty angel, when he came down, his feet was pillars of fire, meaning he was coming for judgment. Right. um Bible says, I can't remember the scripture. It might be Amos, that the feet of the saints are gonna walk on top of the ashes, the burnt ashes of the wicked. Right, so they're gonna tread upon the ashes of their corpses. Right, and it talks about Yeshua gonna dip his feet in the blood of his enemies. Right, so that is the male ibex goat. Okay, so uh, we're gonna go ahead and end this one, and we're gonna take a short break, and then we're gonna start back again with the king against whom there is no rising up, meaning a king that is invincible, right? And but we want you to see that this ibex goat, right, the characteristics that we spoke about and the things that we are equated spiritually to us, is something that we need to look at and understand according to scripture, because he said that these are four things that are amazing to watch. Right, so it's amazing to watch a believer that has that confidence of the lion that doesn't turn back from his enemy, have the speed and agility of that greyhound. It has the sure-footedness and the ability to dwell in high places like this ibex goat, and has that strength, that symbol in his horns, strength from Yah, able to do amazing things up in the clouds. Right, live on a higher plane, that we are to live on that higher plane also. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you leave a comment and subscribe. Be blessed.